My name is Maria Bautista Vargas. I am a missionary associate for Houston Canterbury, which is the campus ministries for the Diocese of Texas, where we are with University of Houston, Texas Southern University, San Jack Community College, and Houston Community College. The students, we found that if you don't meet them where they're at, it's just very hard because we also focus on first generation students. And as you may know, it's like if one person has the car, everybody's depending on it. So we try to meet them honestly wherever they are. There's different ways that students have found us, and then we have found vice versa. We have found students. We have a lot of our Spanish speaking churches and our English speaking churches really do connect us, especially with Spanish-speaking students, because most of the time, or our experience has been, a lot of them are first generation, so they are like, what do we do? I didn't do it, they're the first one. Financial aid, just a whole bunch of needs that they're asking us to just guide them in, and as well as pastoral care. So that's one way. And the other way, we just go to the schools, set up a little coffee shop or a coffee sign, and we're like, hey, this is Houston Canterbury, free coffee or free whatever, sit down, and it doesn't have to be necessarily like oh my God, I'm not Christian, like what's gonna happen to me or whatever. It's just like, let's talk to us. What is going on in your life as a student? What's going on as your life outside of school? And that has been great, even if they don't necessarily come to the small groups, that one-on-one foundation and relationship is formed. I can't say I'm first generation college student, but I'm definitely first generation in the United States college student. So that came with its own different set of rules. My parents were trying to be as helpful as they could, but at the end of the day, they don't know what FAFSA is. They don't know, what Pell Grants or whatever it may be is. So in that sense, I do relate a lot to the students, where it's like my parents, they want to be helpful, but they really don't know. And we're kind of figuring this out on our own. So I was able to do that for myself and then for my siblings. But then also I just loved my favorite part about school, other than the actual education part, is the meeting of people. And so I would go to different groups, especially when I was a university student in Maryland. I would go to these different social gatherings that they would have, just to get that feeling of community. Yeah. Because most of my friends after high school went to faraway campuses or schools, and I stayed in the area. So I wasn't living the dorm life or anything like that. I had to share my car with my mom and my siblings. It was not the life. I wasn't, So it was finally an opportunity to find a community that kind of, we all were either commuters or whatever it may be. And I think I relate a lot to the students, especially commuters, when I see that. And that has been very helpful for me. And just being able to communicate to students, understanding their schedules, because most people are like, you're college students, what? But it's like, I need to go pick up my brother at 6. And I also need to go help my mom and do this. So that's definitely made me more understanding and sensible to a lot of our students' schedule, and just finding a space where fits for them and not so much for us, and how we can be walking this path with them so much, it's very catered towards our students. So that's, I think, my experience definitely helped me in more understanding and patience towards that. That's great that there's so many organizations on all campuses targeting dorms and students that are living in campuses, but what happens to the commuters that don't really have a peer group and don't really have a community of their own, especially first generation, both Latinos and African Americans? A challenge it's interesting because I'm going to be talking about this in Missional Voices, but a huge challenge for me has been this huge racial divide between Latinos and African Americans. And since I'm with TSU, HBCU, and then most of our students are also from the Latino congregations, just everyone sitting down and understanding each other's struggles, each other's experiences, each other's situations, whatever it may be, that has been interesting. And even Latinos within Latinos, they're like, what, you experienced that? That's crazy. I've never experienced racism, or whatever it may be. And vice versa, African Americans students have sometimes been like, well, where were they when we needed them in this march, or whatever it may be. And so that's something that I've found, well, how do I balance these both? Because I'm Afro-Latina, so obviously I feel like I'm in the middle and I want to be understanding. So that has been a huge thing, just being culturally sensitive to something where I used to think I was, and then there's so much more that just pushes your boundaries and challenges you to just become a more educated person. Surprises. Again, you think you're one Latina and everyone gets you, and then you're like, wait a minute, you don't think that way? Oh. okay, so is it just a Dominican thing? But it's not. So it's one of those things that I go to different congregations or I go to different schools and I meet different students, and it just surprises me, but in the best way. Sometimes it confuses me, but at the end it's just the best feeling. Like, you think you know a culture, a race, a person, and then you were constantly being developed, and it's just incredible to just be expanding my knowledge of culture, of people, of students as a whole. Millennials is, I mean, you think you know one millennial and you understand them all, but so that's been one of my surprises. Like, I really don't know anything. When it comes to like certain things you come into, I think some of us come into jobs and we're like, I know everything, and I've noticed I don't. So that's been one of my biggest surprises is, you think that the job itself is what's going to be the hardest, but it's more like the people and how dynamic people are and how situations happen to people. And you should know that, but I guess in theory, it's easy to understand that, but in action and living day by day, pastoral care is no joke. Here's where I always feel like I'm privileged, and that's okay. I felt like I've been blessed in so many ways that many of the struggles that I do see so many other millennials and so many, especially young people of color, I necessarily haven't been hit as hard. I have been, obviously, we always hear well, you should, you're too young to be in leadership, or your ideas. But in the bigger scene, I guess, I've been given a lot of opportunities since I was like 15. I was able to preach at No Amanecer, which I never thought somebody at my age, I think I was 18 or 19 at that time, would have ever been able to do. I've been able to preach here. I've been able to just be like a leader in the church. And so I've been very thankful for people that have been willing to, take a chance on me, I guess, because, millennials are so scary, but also lead me and guide me and really instill me with tools to be the best I can be for myself and for the congregations and the church that I represent. But that's not the case with anyone else. I feel like most of and I've seen it, and I think that's one of the hardest parts. I've been in rooms where as a whole, but you can feel that it was towards another group, have been told no, or that doesn't sound right, or this is my favorite, but the one that makes me the most angry is like, millennials, you young people, you're meant to leave the church at some point. So like, why are you gonna listen to your ideas? Come back when you're ready to baptize your babies and get married. But till then, it's basically like, let's pause on your ideas, and that's hurt me, and that's hurt a lot of, especially young adults of color. Especially Latinos, I can speak about that. And I feel like that's one of the weaknesses of the Episcopal Church, is just creating a table where everyone feels welcome truly. Like, I feel like we use that word very loosely, and I was like, we're all welcome. But are we truly actually abiding by those words and making sure everyone is feeling welcome? That's hard, but are we abiding by that? And then how are we, so everyone's seated, but are we actually going to give everyone a voice and a vote? And so I haven't been seeing that too much with that in millennials. I think with my leadership is whenever I am in anything, my job related, or, in the commissions or in whatever I'm invited to, I'm always looking. I'm always like, who's not here? And why are they not here? I'm getting better at asking questions. I've always been very timid and very non-confrontational, and so I've always thought, no, you're not supposed to talk and all this. So I'm getting better at being like, well, why isn't this person here, or whatever it may be. So it's helped me in me being more assured of myself and my position in my leadership capacity, but also in involving and bringing people along with me, and that's something huge for me. I've never thought I'd be able to like lead and create and show people opportunities, especially again, Latinos are big in my heart, so creating opportunities for so many young adults that have this hunger and passion in the church, but don't feel like, either because of financial reasons or people have shut them down before, whatever it may be, that they don't belong at the table. So I think that's where my leadership has grown, definitely, is knowing that, yeah, you still do belong, and let's bring you along. What I'm about to say is so much easier said than done, y'all. I know it's intimidating, but to just be consistent and to find ways in leadership. And if no one's hearing you there will be people that are willing to hear you. There will be people that will be guiding you and giving you tools for you to grow in that capacity. If you have a song you want to share with your church or your mission or whatever, maybe if you have a sermon you want to share it. You know, I think we hold each other back so much because we second guess ourselves, and it's like, I'm too young, or I don't know enough of the Bible, and so people would judge me and all of a sudden throw scriptures at me, and those are things that go on in my mind all the time. And so to know that it's okay, we're not called to be perfect, we're called to be the Jesus in the world. As long as we're capturing that image and sharing that love, I think the church will notice, and I think you'll be given those opportunities. But first, I think you have to surround yourself with not only just adults, but also people of our same age, and create this accountability for one another, and be supporting of one another and encourage one another. I think that's been one of the biggest things in my life, that when I'm like, no, I can't do that, people of my age group have been like, girl, you got this. And then people older or whatever, they've also been very supportive. So just do it. I think we stay so much in our heads, and sometimes that's fair, because there are so many things going on, both in our church and politically, that make us feel like we don't have a voice, but we do, especially when we're more than one. So we have a service here every Sunday night, school year Sundays, so we don't have it through the summer, called The Gathering, where we are hosted by St. Luke the Evangelist. And so we started this ministry, or this service, really focused on students. It has become a great community kind of centered service, and we absolutely love it. We have grads that don't want anything else to do with school, but we're like, welcome. We have students that are taking a gap year or a break for whatever reasons. We have families, young families that join us. We have folks from the 9:30 service that join us. It's really a community influence, and we hope to keep it that way. Our students do lead the service, but other than that, we welcome. Everyone's welcome. And so also our liturgy is pretty for people that may have not ever experienced an Episcopal church service or a church service in their lives. It's a liturgy that we try to make it as understandable without too much church knowledge, and so far we haven't had much complaints, so maybe people are understanding. A huge thing that we do during the service is we, to make sure that everyone is truly immersing in that community life, every Sunday we do how can we pray for one another, and we invite people to find either somebody they haven't checked in with for a while or somebody new, and just truly pray for that person and carry those prayers throughout the week, and hopefully the next Sunday follow up with that person. And then after all that greatness, we come to the reception room and have a dinner, and usually it's just a time to check in with folks and just really enjoy the evening. And then for different events going on, we obviously have a deeper conversation, like in Latino Hispanic Heritage Month, African American Heritage Month, Absalom Jones Day, and things like that.
Gracias, Maria.
De nada.